Good evening, ghouls and
Powered
goblins,
by
and welcome to the
Riverside
end of the
FM.
world. Tonight we are talking about When the Wind Blows, which
Yep.
was a animated movie that we both were watching for the very first time. I'm here with Travis, like always.
Hey there.
Hey, how you doing? How you
Not
feeling?
too bad.
Nice,
It's been pretty good.
cool. Well, anything new you want to talk about, or anything going on in the world, or
Uh
should we just jump on into this thing?
well, I mean, we're about to see what do we got? Autistic registry now? That's a new
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I was well with the see. You beat me to the punch. I was about to start with so
Oh,
I'm learning how to integrate things, right? So,
yeah.
let's move on to our first dubbed segment of the evening. This is not a thing we're going to continue doing. Probably we'll forget where we have news of the apocalypse.
Oh, yes.
Here we go. Here we go. There you go. There's some clapping for you. News of the apocalypse. So you might be thinking the Pope, the Pope dying, that it
Hmm.
could be a news of the apocalypse.
Yeah.
You might consider, like you were saying, the autism registry, also
Yeah.
apocalyptic scenario. But I have my own. So say what you wanted to about RFK Jr. and about the Grim Reaper as we know him, JD Vance, which has
He
become his new nickname. I am merging Couch Fucker and Grim Reaper to to become Grim Fucker. There you go. JD Vance, the Grim Fucker.
Oh Lord. I mean. Well, yeah. So, oh yeah, what I was gonna say because I just saw this today was about RFK Jr. wanting to start a registry, like a medical registry or something like that for autistic patients. I mean, patients is even the wrong word. Just people that happen to have autism. Like, what? What is that
Yeah.
even? Like, that's where we're starting well, that's not where we're starting the concentration camps. They've already started that. But
Oh well, yeah. They got those going on in El Salvador. That's the
mhm,
American way. We outsource our genocide.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can't even be bothered to do it ourselves.
But it's such a dumb concept, though. It's like, of course, autism numbers have gone up. They've started testing for it
Hmm.
after what was it, 1972?
Yeah.
Like between 72 and 70, or like 92 or something like that. There was a 300% increase in breast cancer
Yeah. Like,
because they started testing. They started doing mammograms in
yeah.
like 76 or something like that.
I was going to just say to that point, as like a teacher who has all, I've worked with kids on the spectrum since every
Hmm.
year I've been working, and in 11 years, it's the thing that I've noticed has changed the most in
Hmm.
terms of just like how those kids are how they're supported,
Yeah.
how they are more mainstreamed, which is a term we
Hmm.
use in education, unfortunately. And that going
Oh, I
back to
get it.
that, which is just like changing how we speak. That's also been something that I've seen in 11 years, and just going and working with kids on the spectrum, and just admitting
Hmm.
that like it's a spectrum, that there's a range of
Yeah.
of symptoms or different of different I don't even want to say ailments because that makes it seem like it's something you can
No,
do
yeah,
something
just
about it. It's not. It's almost like a range of different, and I don't want to say symptoms because that makes it seem like
maybe
it's like an
behaviors.
illness. Yeah, like range of behaviors. That's a good word for it.
Yeah.
A
I
range of
was gonna say
behaviors
I
that
feel like
kind
I'm
of.
probably on the spectrum
I think
somewhere.
most people fucking are. Like I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are. God damn, man. Did you see
Yeah.
what our parents fucking did to their bodies as they raised us? Good
Yeah,
Jesus
really.
fucking Christ. Good Lord. How do you
Yeah.
expect us not to be fucked up?
Yeah,
God
right?
damn! Anytime anyone's like, you're like, oh, fucking millennials, and then millennials are like, oh, fucking Gen Zs. I'm like,
Yeah.
y'all should like as a person who interacts mostly all day with Gen Zers,
Hmm.
um, I see a lot of the negative that people point out, but
Right.
there's also like they're way fucking smarter than us. They're way
Yeah.
fucking smarter than us. Yeah. Even the ones that
Hmm.
you would kind of be like, that kid's dumb. He's probably way smarter than you were at his age, and he don't even realize it. Get him behind a computer and see all that shit take off.
Oh,
Right? They
yeah.
can do all kinds of stuff that we couldn't do at that age because they grew up with this. So them, it's like a second nature.
That's
Right now,
right.
not all of them.
Well,
There's a
yeah.
spectrum, so to speak. But yeah,
Oh,
so yeah, yeah.
well, I
So
think
RF,
everything's a spectrum.
exactly
Every
everything,
like
pretty much everything is.
nothing. There is no set this or that. It's
Yeah,
all. There's just so many nuances, and
yeah,
I think, man, are we losing that?
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of nuances, my news of the
Yes.
apocalypse to contribute to this segment had nothing to
Yeah.
do with the Pope dying, which was sad, and had
Hmm.
nothing to do with RFK Jr. fumbling his way through a speech about autism while just being a complete fucking nincompoop.
Yeah.
Mine was the fact that we have a chance at an all Canadian Stanley Cup final. This is the first time since 1989.
Ooh.
So, have you been watching the Stanley Cup finals at all?
I have not. There's been
Ah,
so much other stuff going on.
that's
I
true. There's
just
been a lot going on. I've been keeping up with it in
oh, that's
the
smart.
NBA finals. In these are the only two sports I like. I'm not a big baseball
Yeah.
fan. I like going to baseball games if I have a
Yes.
beer. If you can give me a beer and maybe a cigar, baseball is a fantastic place to be at. Love a
Oh
good day
yeah.
out at the park. Nice hot
I
dog. The problem with baseball is shit got too expensive. As
That's
soon as
true.
it's like $100 to go to a baseball game, it's like, well, fuck, I don't
Hmm.
want to do it anymore. It's
Yeah,
not
because I love just going and sitting at a ball, like in a ballpark.
true.
It's great.
I will say, if you're looking for a cheap alternative and you want to experience baseball, minor league baseball parks, depending on your area, your
Hmm.
minor league team usually has a pretty good like old school baseball kind of feel, and it's usually
Yeah.
for an affordable price. Usually, your mileage may vary.
Usually.
But like, so
Yeah.
baseball, I kind of like going to. Football, I have no fucking interest in.
No, not at all.
Really, I like fantasy football, playing it every now and then, but even then,
Yeah.
I don't watch the games. I just keep track of the statistics.
Well, and I,
But
for some reason, made myself a Bears fan, so I definitely don't like watching football.
I grew up a Dallas Cow. Like my dad was a giant
Well,
Dallas Cowboy fan. Like the
yes.
episode where I was talking about church with Left
Yeah, that's
Behind, and
right.
I said that we went to the Church of Jerry Jones. That's not an exaggeration. My dad, his email address is a reference to the Dallas Cowboys.
Nice.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
So I kind of had football out of me growing up in West Texas and surrounded
Hmm.
by a big football fan. My dad played high school football at like one of
Oh
the
yeah.
big high school football places in Texas. So like he was a
Yep.
big football dude. He was a tight end and apparently got hurt. It's a whole story. Story
Oh
for a
man.
different day. But the two sports that I gravitated towards were basketball and hockey.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically because I played basketball when I was younger. I'm
Hmm.
virtually pretty much the height I am now. I got about
Yep.
this height in about fifth grade. So for a
Oh.
while, I was like the tall kid.
Oh dang.
And
Yeah.
then
See,
I
I've
kind of
never been
like
that.
everyone caught up to me.
See,
Bastards.
I had to do the catching up. I didn't actually have I didn't get to my height until I was
Mm.
in ninth grade.
Oh, shit.
I didn't even get over 100 pounds till I was in ninth grade. So
When I was in like sixth grade and I was like almost 6 feet tall, my parents were like, or my dad at least, he was very much like, this kid's going to be a basketball player. Like, I got me an NBA star. Like, nope, 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 nope. Too white and non-athletic for that. But I liked learning about it and playing it and enjoying the shit
Yeah.
out of watching it. And
Oh yeah, it's basketball is the only sport I've been to like a professional level game.
mhm, yeah,
It's
yeah, same,
went to
same.
it was back
Oh,
when I
I've
was
been
like
to
maybe
football
like
games and I've been to all major
yeah.
sporting. Actually, I take that back. It's like I've been
Oh,
to
have
every
you?
one of them. Yeah, I've been to all of them at least once. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Back when they were more
Yeah.
affordable. Back when
Well,
they were
yeah, I was
more
about to
affordable.
say this was back
In
when
the
I was
way
like
long
10,
yonder days. Yeah, yeah,
but I've
yeah.
been to minor
I
league
mean,
baseball,
shit.
stuff like that.
I was gonna say we have the Memphis Grizzlies like a couple down the street from me here.
Oh yeah.
However, I'm not even a Grizzlies fan. In all honesty, I actually don't really care about the Grizzlies at all.
Yeah.
My basketball team of preference is the Portland Trailblazers, and we have sucked for a long time, and we will
Yeah.
continue to suck. God damn it! And I'm proud of that. I like rooting for shitty basketball teams. I kind of
Nice.
also root for shitty hockey teams, but getting into
Well,
the
yeah.
Stanley Cup Finals. Um,
Yes.
so the Winnipeg Jets are playing the St. Louis Blues, and they're up 2-0. So it looks like they're going to
Hmm.
take that series, and
Yeah.
they're going to play the winner of Dallas and Colorado, who were tied 1-1. Not really familiar with anything they got going on. The
Yeah.
Las Vegas Knights are one
Yep.
game up on the Minnesota Wild, and your Vegas Knights won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago, and
That's
they've
right.
been pretty good since they entered the league.
Yeah.
The LA Kings are playing the Edmonton Oilers. So that's our second
Ooh.
Canadian team on the Western Conference. We got two chances on the West to get there. We got Edmonton
Ooh.
and Winnipeg. Now, on the East, we got Toronto and Ontario. So unfortunately, we're eliminating one of the Canadians right away, which
Right.
sucks.
That does
But
suck.
we got Toronto is one up on Ontario there. So it looks like they're going to take that. They're going to play the winner of Tampa Bay versus Florida. Tampa Bay, you wouldn't think they're a hockey powerhouse, but they are.
Yeah.
They've won the cup a couple times. It's weird.
Yep.
There you have it, though. And
Mhm.
then in the other bracket, you have Washington playing Montreal, the Canadiens, and they are up.
Oh, yeah.
Washington is up 1-up on the Canadiens there.
Ah,
And they're going to play the winner of the Hurricanes against the Devils, and the Hurricanes are up 2-0 on the Devils. So on
s
the Eastern side, we also have technically we have three Canadian teams, but only two possibilities there, unfortunately.
yeah.
So yeah, we have a pretty good chance of a Canadian of an all Canadian Stanley Cup, which given the political climate I think
Yep.
would be amazing for them.
That would.
They deserve it. We've won it
Y
too many times.
Yeah, for real.
It's really fucking silly that that Canada hasn't won it as and recently like they should have.
Yeah,
Um,
really.
well, I think they did. They won it not too long ago, but it hasn't been an all Canadian Stanley Cup where two Canadian teams win against each other since the '80s.
Right.
So, and I
Oh.
that was my sign of the apocalypse. And
Hey,
let me get my here we go. Is he doing it? I can't tell.
what?
It's supposed to be cheering. I don't know if it's doing that or not.
I don't hear cheering. I
Well,
mean, except for the
let's move on.
general cheering I always hear in my head every time I do anything.
Anytime you do anything, there was supposed to be a transition there that was going to be like, that was clever. It didn't work, apparently. There you go. We're going to leave this in. Let's talk
Absolutely.
about When the Wind Blows, the movie for tonight.
Yes.
Those of you that skipped the first 11 minutes of the podcast, which nice to see you.
Yeah.
This movie came out in 1988 in the good old United States. In
Mhm.
1987, 1986 overseas.
Mhm.
This was my first time watching this, and yours as well, right?
Yep.
Cool. Thought so.
Yeah, because I'd only
I
even recently heard about it.
It's one that I had always heard mentioned, like in passing, is one that I
Mhm.
should watch, but like I'm not the biggest animated movie fan in the world. It
That's
really
fair.
kind of depends on this, it's very much case by case. And so when someone
Mhm.
immediately tells me animated movie, my interest kind of begins to diminish just a bit.
A little bit.
It's just my personal preference in movies, but
Mhm.
I was raised in that kind of like weird time period, kind of right before anime took off
Yep.
in millennial youth culture. I watched my fair share. I have a Dragon Ball Z tattoo, but
Oh, yeah.
the heavy metal kind of this style of animation, I was a little too young for that. So this
Yeah.
didn't necessarily appeal to me whenever I was a youth. Like now it
Right.
would, obviously as
Mhm.
an
Oh, yeah.
adult, I've definitely got into it more. So, um, directed by Jimmy Murray Kama, I think is his name. Murray
Mhm.
Kama, I believe Murakami. He is a Japanese man who
Murakami.
was actually in the concentration camps here in America, in
Oh,
the Japanese internment camps in California.
wow.
So yeah, has some experience seeing kind of a lot of dark, deep shit in his life.
Yeah.
Was obviously mostly known for directing Heavy Metal, which is a movie that has a lot of similarities to this one.
Yep.
Some stark differences. There's
Well,
no Meatloaf and big-breasted women riding through the galaxy,
no.
but we get some other things.
Well, yeah.
But
No, this
beyond,
one was
yeah, it's dark. Yeah, beyond this is
oh,
probably the
yeah.
most disturbing movie we've watched so far.
Absolutely. Oh, this one brought me down.
Yeah, this is a depressing fucking movie. Yeah, we'll get to that. In addition to his animated work, he also directed Humanoids from the Deep and Battle
Ooh.
Beyond the Stars. So
Oh, okay.
kind of did a lot of stuff there. Kind of
I
crossed
think
a
I've
lot of
actually
bridges.
seen Battle Beyond the Stars.
I believe you have. I believe that's the one
I
Jamie
think we've
used to throw
watched.
on. Yeah, that's
Yes,
that's Jamie's favorite. I think his favorite like Star Wars ripoff.
that's right.
He likes to throw
Yeah,
that one off.
awesome.
Uh, we got the writer was Raymond Briggs, who was also the novelist of the movie. He was
Yeah.
also a screenwriter as well. Mostly wrote books for kids, and
Mm,
kind of caused some controversy when this came out with its publication.
I believe it.
As what it's about is kind of very stark and harrowing, I think would be the key words to
Y-
use.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Our cast is played by two Oscar winners who are fucking amazing in this movie. We get
Hmm.
Peggy Ashcroft playing Hilda, and she won an Oscar for Passage to India. and she was
Oh.
a mostly known for her stage work in the UK. So,
Hmm.
and Jim is played by, or James, as he kind of goes interchangeably,
Yeah.
is played by John Mills, who is also an Oscar winner for the movie Ryan's Daughter or Ryan
Hmm.
Daughter. I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that one, but
No,
he's
I'm
also
not.
been in Cats, Mr. Bean, Hamlet, Gandhi, Doctor
Ooh.
Strange, the TV movie from 1978.
Hmm.
And he actually has stuff going all the way back to the 1930s. So he has been
Wow.
doing a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Speaking of doing a lot of stuff, the
Yeah.
announcer is played by Robin Houston, who has been doing voiceover work since the 1970s. So he is still
Wow.
continuing working today as well.
Oh, far out.
So kind of like a pretty decent little cast of everyone kind of involved, right?
Yeah.
Now, the background is fairly interesting. So let's get into that.
Yeah. Let's.
So it started off as a graphic novel, right?
Hmm.
And so the graphic novel was also a radio play in 1983 on the BBC.
Yeah.
And then it was also published as like an actual, like full on edition in 1982.
Hmm.
It also became a stage play again in 1983. So in 1983, it was both a radio play and adapted into a stage play in England. In 1984, Tears for Fears put out a song, which is basically the book kind of turned into a song.
Hmm.
And so you can
Which?
kind of see it like building towards it's a movie.
Yeah.
Like it comes out and then it kind of progressively it like influences a stage play, radio play, song, and then a couple years later we get the adaptation that we're seeing here in front of us.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Just
Pretty cool.
just out of curiosity, what was this song? Do we know
Oh, the name of the song? Oh God, I didn't write it down.
that? Well, let's
You're gonna have to do
see.
some research on your own there. Tears for Fears, 1984 is what I can tell you. And speaking of
Uh.
songs, in 2010, Iron Maiden put out a song that very heavily references the book.
Mhm.
However, in Iron Maiden's version, the characters kill themselves at the end of the song,
Oh,
or
that sounds
at the end of the story. So it's a
that
little bit
sounds
different than
very
what we
Iron
see here.
Maiden.
Yeah, yeah, very Iron
Yeah.
Maiden-y. Very,
Uh,
bring your daughter to the
the
slaughter. My
yeah,
favorite Iron Maiden song.
yeah. I don't know. Number of the Beast kind of
Mhm.
gets me.
That's a good one. I've seen Iron Maiden
Yeah.
live, baby. That's a
Have
good
you?
fucking show. Oh yeah, saw Iron Maiden live in Dallas with Dream fucking Theater.
Awesome. Oh wait. Okay, I remember when y'all went to that.
Yeah, yeah, it was during the anime festival, which is weird.
That's right.
I've been to anime festivals like 6 or 7 times, and I'm not a big anime fan. There's other shit to do there,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's not just looking at women in cosplay. There's other shit to do there as well.
you don't have to be a creep.
No, you don't have to. You can go there and like look
Oh, I
for
thought it was.
records and look for rare movies and all kinds of
I
comic
thought that
books
was
and shit.
compulsory.
No, me and Toby used to just kind of go around looking for rare movies. He was looking for
Far
anime.
out.
I was looking for weird Japanese movies. So
Yeah. Oh,
kind
I
of
looked it up.
best of both
The
worlds. Oh
the
yeah,
Tears
what's the
for
name of the
Fears
song?
song is called Mother's Talk.
Mother's Talk. Interesting, interesting, interesting.
Yeah.
So
So
speaking more about songs, the movie
yeah,
starts with a David Bowie song, and he was
I didn't want to look
yeah.
anything up because I
Mhm.
don't know why I felt like I don't know, I just wanted to keep it like
Keep it, keep it,
guessing.
keep it, keep it, keep it, keep it basic.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Yeah, so Bowie was actually originally going to do the whole soundtrack for this,
Mm-hmm.
but due to some scheduling, he was not able to. But he was able to complete one song, and so
Okay.
Roger Waters actually does most of the songs with a little bit of
Okay.
contributions from Genesis and Squeeze. So
Oh,
very, very British.
I was gonna
um,
say, well, yeah, and I was gonna say the music was very good in this.
yeah, the music is exceptionally well done.
Yes.
Very, very well done. Very. I was hopeful.
Like,
It starts off with Bowie, and you're like, "Oh, are we gonna get like a full Bowie soundtrack?" And that
yeah,
never
that's
happened, which kind of like really sucked. At this time, he was doing Tonight, which was kind of like one of his like kind of okayish '80s ones.
yeah.
That album, and then right afterwards, he would do I think like Never Let Me Down, which is
Mm,
probably one of his weakest albums. So maybe he should have just taken the money here and done an album with this
yeah,
because
right.
I feel like he could have done something really cool with this based
I
on the
think
concept.
so. Oh
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So this movie came out, and 3 years later, the Berlin Wall came down, which is kind of interesting.
Hey.
And you got a lot of movies around this time period leading up to the fall of the Berlin Wall, before and
Mm-hmm.
after it, where we get a kind of like a wealth of movies about nuclear devastation, nuclear war,
Oh yeah.
and kind of that was a big theme around the late '80s, which is exactly what I was born into. Wonder
Yep.
how this ended up. Um, Right. The movie was completely redubbed in Denmark, which is the custom in Germany. They oftentimes will redo their movies in the German language.
Hmm.
So not surprising to see that there. It came out on March 13th, 1988 to the United States, and came out into the UK on February 6th, 1987. So
Hmm.
there's the day. Went on to make about $5,000 total US in the United States. So
Really?
yeah, not a crazy amount of money that it made, but
No, this is
kind of
definitely
interesting.
this is a very kind of a niche thing. Like you're like a concept, like a very conceptual sort of. I can't see a big mass appeal to like a movie like this because
Yeah.
yeah, that already.
Hmm.
And anybody that might think about taking a kid to this, they're going to be like, they're walking out. So
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
yeah.
So speaking of kids, the writer actually based the two main characters on his parents. So kind of
Oh, okay.
reminded himself of when he was a child and what
They
his
seemed
parents
like
were
very
like.
real people.
Yes, the writing is very well done,
Oh yeah.
and I could see how you could easily turn this into a stage play.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
you could
That's
easily turn this into a stage play. In
I
fact, you
I
could
thought
turn
about
it
that.
into a really, really fun. I kind of want to see the stage. I wonder if there's a YouTube version of the stage
Oh, I
play,
hope.
because this could be if you had some two really good actors who could
Uh-huh.
do this movie basically by themselves. You could
Oh
do
yeah.
some amazing shit with this, because this
Yeah,
is a
just kind
very, very
of.
this is like an actor's movie where this is very much like, if you want to give a good performance, this is it.
Oh yes. Ooh.
Yeah. So this came
Might have
out.
to tell Dom about it, or throw that at him as an idea.
hmm This was released on DVD in 2005, then again in 2010, then again on Blu-ray in 2014,
Mhm.
and then it recently came out on a boutique DVD Blu-ray label on in 2020. So
Hmm.
while it didn't make that much money in theaters, it has gone on to make quite a bit on the back end on its
Yeah.
distribution for home video and such.
Mhm.
And the movie ends. Did you get all the way through the end credits?
Oh, I didn't go through all the way.
So
Was
if you get
there?
all the way through the end credits, the movie ends with a little bit of Morse code, and that Morse code is for mutually assured destruction. So
Oh,
that's a little fun thing there.
see, I didn't even think to keep it rolling.
I did, only because I read that on
Yeah.
IMDb, and then I was like, okay, well, I didn't hear that at the end when they're doing the prayer. And then I was
Hmm.
like, okay, I wonder. And so I just kind of let it kept going until I heard it. And I was like, oh, yep, there it is. That's Morse code. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the entire kind of background about why he wrote this was to
Hmm.
kind of be a critique of the war propaganda pamphlets called "Protect and
Uh,
Survive" that had been going in the UK all the way back to 1938, and they were
hmm.
reprinted again in 1963 and again in 1980. So,
Hmm.
kind of leading up to him, kind of creating this whole story, it kind of taking off in the UK populace at the time. You
Yeah.
can kind of see the breadcrumbs leading up to that. These "Protect and
Hmm.
Survive" pamphlets being put out, and several of the scenes come straight from the pamphlets themselves. So
I was
where
about to
he's
ask that.
reading literal passages from that. So the ridiculous, crazy
Yeah.
shit that it's telling them to do, that's the stuff that it was telling them to do. Like, wash your dishes with sand, preserve water, like all like that kind of stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, this will help
Like the
save you
paper
from
bags and all that
yes, the
stuff.
paper potato bags. Yes, yes. A lot of that
Wow.
is completely real. And
Huh.
even the style of the animation kind of alludes to the pamphlets, where it had these kind of animated cartoons with the pamphlets that just looked like ridiculously like propaganda wise, like just presented
Hmm.
as like smiling caricatures of human beings instead
Oh
of
wow.
like being kind of like real people. And this take on the pamphlets was not the only one.
Oh.
because other artists also wrote or created art in response to these. So Jethro
Hmm.
Tull had a couple
Oh.
albums and songs dedicated to this kind of idea. The band Discharge, the punk band, hardcore band Discharge, had a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
stuff about it. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, the
Yeah.
Dubliners, Wolfsbane, Radiohead. And then similar ideas show up in another UK movie called Threads and the UK TV show Spooks, as
Mm-hmm.
well as the
Mm-hmm.
Young Ones TV show.
Oh yeah.
And apparently, there's a mod you can do for Fallout 4, which directly references this movie.
Oh.
So, those of you looking to mod Fallout 4.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
hey, speaking of video games, I hate
mhm,
to do this, but speaking of news in the world, did you see Oblivion remake came out?
I did not. No, no, no. I
Yeah,
did not see that.
Bethesda released a brand new like remake of Oblivion. Anyway, sorry.
Wow.
Just thought
Did
about
not know
since
that.
you brought up yeah, that happened today and it's
Hmm,
available. My
wow.
nephew's downloading it, so
Cool. Good for him. I'm glad
yeah.
the youth are
Yeah.
rediscovering a good one. That was a good time back in the day. I don't know if I'm going to
Yeah.
play that anytime soon. Like,
I never
I find myself
played
not playing
Oblivion
many
much.
games as
So
much as I used to anymore.
yeah,
And when I
no.
do, they're all like ones I like have memorized. But
Yeah, basically. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to digress. I
oh
just
no, you're fine.
a video
we
game.
were we were coming to the end and about to digress into our Travis trivia section. So
All right.
as we get there, we can.
Watch me fumble with music knowledge.
Well, I'm going to throw two of them at you, both the U.S. and the U.K. because
Oh,
we
this is
got
gonna be
two
easy.
different lists. So starting with the U.K. because that's where it came out first.
Yep.
Most of these you're not going to have any fucking clue.
I was
I'm going to
about to
tell you
say.
right now. I have heard of one of these.
I
We don't get a lot of European listeners, but if you're tuning in for the first time as you're watching us stumble our way through this movie, you're probably going to be screaming at us as I'm like, I have no idea who these people are. Well,
I think this is
here
a good time for Europeans to be screaming at Americans. So
that's fair. We deserve it. So
yeah,
I'm
we
just going
do.
to tell you the UK chart, and then we'll look at the US one because,
Hmm.
like I said, you're not going to know who any of these fucking
Yeah, and
people
I'll
are.
be excited if I do get one, and I'll just, or if I know it when you say it,
I was
then
going to
I
say, if
can.
you know any of these, please pat yourself on the back as an
All
American because
right.
I am not familiar. So number 5 was "It Doesn't Have to Be This Way" by the Blow Monkeys.
Nope.
Okay. Number 4 was "Almaz" by Randy Crawford.
No.
Yep, nothing. Number 3 was "Down to Earth" by Curiosity Killed the Cat.
Oh, that sounds cool, but no, never heard of it.
Nothing. "Heartache" by Pepsi and Shirl is number 2, or Pepsi and Shirley. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know if it's just because the name Pepsi, but that's sort of ringing a bell. It may just
Nope.
be because of Pepsi.
You got there. You got more than I do. And the number 1 song was "I Know You Were Waiting for Me" by George Michael, who is the only
Oh yeah.
person on this list I was like, oh, I know him.
Yep. Yep. I think I know that song too.
All right, now let's go to the U.S. charts. This movie came
Yes.
out in the United States on March 13th, 1988. Number 5 is I've heard his name a lot, but I
Hmm.
never really listened to his music. I'm going to say like 70s, 80s adult alternative. He has a cool ass name. He has a name that you would think he's like a punk dude, but I believe he is
Oh.
decidedly unpunk.
Oh man. I.
The name of the song is "Endless Summer Nights." Does that help
Oh,
at all?
that sounds really familiar. In the summer nights.
That's what I'm
I
feeling right
can't.
now. It's like 90 degrees in Memphis
Oh, I
today.
was about to say. I turned my fan off over there. It's awful. Uh, um, no, I don't have this one.
Richard Marx.
Richard Marx. That's right.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't
Oh
have got
yeah.
that. Wouldn't have got that one.
I've heard a bunch of Richard. Well, I say a bunch, but I've heard a fair bit
All
of.
right, number 4 is a female artist who I believe used to do some stuff with Meatloaf back in the day, and it's not Linda Ronstadt.
Uh, oh, that was the only one I could have got, and I didn't even get that last time. So,
This is "I Got Weak" by Belinda Carlisle.
oh, okay. Oh, did she do stuff with
I'm
Meatloaf?
guessing. I have literally no idea. I could be
Hey,
completely
it's
wrong. I could be misremembering or just
and that's
misassociating.
okay.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I contradict myself.
It's all good.
It's good, baby. It's good. Number 3 is actor turned singer, but an '80s actor turned '80s singer. There's a lot of
um,
them.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe. Oh shoot, what was his name? Oh,
Brucey
uh.
Willis?
Well, there. Yeah, Bruce Willis did it.
Not him though.
But he transitioned more to harmonica. But
Mm,
yeah. Oh, who am I thinking of? Oh, a heart something, right?
mm.
No,
The name of the song is "She's Like the Wind."
she's like the wind. That sounds really familiar.
He's in my wife's favorite movie. It's in. I don't know if that helps you at all.
Oh, I don't
Probably
know. Do I
not.
know her favorite movie?
Roadhouse.
Oh, okay. I decided I don't have this.
So the artist is Patrick Swayze.
Oh wait, really?
Yeah, the Sways. Patrick
I,
Swizzle.
I didn't think it was going to be that on the nose.
He's a Roadhouse. Who'd you think I was talking about? Terry Funk? Like,
I was going to
although
say,
he
or
did do music, so never mind. I can't say that. Like,
I was
never
good.
mind.
I thought it was going to be a little less obvious or a little less, main
uh,
character.
number two is another George Michael song, "Father Figure." So there's that.
Oh, okay. I don't
And
think I know that song.
the number one song in the country when this movie came out has become a meme. It's a timeless gift. It's what you send someone when you just want to fuck with them. Any guesses?
Oh Lord. I mean, he seems like a really cool guy, but yeah, Rick Astley's
Yeah, never gonna
"Never Gonna
give
Give You."
you up. Yep, that was the number one song in the country of the United States. That's what we were jamming out to whenever the world was about to motherfucking end with "When the Wind Blows." So we're gonna take a little
Yeah,
pause, and we're gonna come back and talk about the plot of this fucking amazing ass movie. Not gonna lie, I
yeah.
really, really enjoyed this one. Be back in just a second, you guys. See you in a minute.
Oh yeah.
Thank y'all so much for listening. It's been a pleasure coming to y'all every single week talking about end of the world movies. We are nearing into 50 episodes, which is crazy. Doing this for a little while now. And this month, we are moving away from the bad movies we've been talking about last month and instead talking about some elephants in the room. Some big heavy hitters that we haven't discussed thus far. So come back every single week this month and we'll be talking about things such as Independence Day, A Boy and His Dog, and post-apocalyptic Commando Shark as well, from somewhere thrown in there. Not really a heavy hitter or a elephant, more of a jackass in the room, honestly. But it is what it is. So thank you guys for listening, and every single week we'll keep on coming back, and y'all come on back too. Keep on trucking. I don't have an ending. Sorry. And welcome back to the show. Hopefully you found yourself something to drink because we're about to talk about a fantastic little movie. I really, really enjoyed this.
Oh, absolutely.
I thought it was just amazing. So the movie starts with some David Bowie, and we
Hmm.
get some stock footage set to it. Will we transition to animation? And it kind of sets the tone for the movie where we're going to have this like blending of live action with animation.
Hmm.
Best I think I've ever seen. Like it
Oh,
is really
absolutely.
fucking well done.
Oh yeah.
Really, really well done. And we meet our main character, Jim, or James as he sometimes is called.
Hmm.
And he's traveling into the city to get news about what's going on, about this upcoming like war that he keeps hearing about. And I
Yeah, a
love
very
that he has
old
to.
way of getting
I was gonna say,
news.
I love that he has to travel into the city to get it, which is a little funny because he has a radio and they have a television at home. They
Yeah.
mention later, but he prefers this way. So it's almost
Yeah.
like there's something like so he's like nostalgic about getting news the old-fashioned way almost.
Hmm.
It's very, which kind of is the tone of the theme of the movie is like kind of his kind of set in his wayness to things, um,
Yes.
which is kind of their undoing. Well, I guess not even undoing because the whole world ends here. So I don't know if there's
Yeah,
really anything you
really.
could do about this, y'all. Hilda, his wife, who is the other main character of the movie, and really
Hmm.
the only two characters we get are these two
Yeah.
characters. We hear a little people on the phone and some other
Yeah.
people mentioned, but these are the only two characters we have here, and she is
Hmm.
also fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Just really, 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 really good. And the entire movie is basically them having discussions back and forth. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, it's very you need two actors that can really like do very, very well, and they do
Oh yeah.
amazingly well.
Oh, they
No
did. Oh, it's
complaints at
so
all.
good.
Like so good. So Hilda, his wife, greets him at the door, and they talk about some really depressing news about the, how what's going on with the world, and
Hmm.
he's telling her about a preemptive strike, and she's preparing
It's like,
dinner, and
and a
they're going to have
strike.
sausage and chips, which sounds pretty good actually.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good.
There's going to be a war one day now. Jim is sure of her.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, go
like
ahead.
I like how she's kind of just like, I don't really, like, why would you even, why even bother with that news? Like, you know,
Yeah. She's really trying to like kind of move away from it. Like she's like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, let's talk about other things. And he is completely obsessed about this one issue,
yes,
which is what's going on with this war. And he just keeps talking her ear off about it, even if she's not really interested in listening.
yeah. She even kind of
So,
misunderstands him whenever he talks about the preemptive strike. She's like, "Oh, another strike, like
mm-hmm.
a labor strike or something."
Yeah, right, exactly
It's like,
that. Yeah,
huh. So yeah,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it just shows the difference of like, yeah,
And that kind
like
of
the
sets
difference in how.
the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say just the difference in how they approach like their existence, their world, the world outside of anything.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
just
yeah.
he's. I don't know. I mean, like, I guess he's right to be freaked out about it, but she's just like, I gotta make food. I gotta make dinner.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the premises of the movie is them trying to kind of stick to the routines that they kind of have
Hmm.
adhered to going forward. It's very much kind of based on that. And one of the things that they start discussing is how best to survive the bomb
Yeah.
based on what the government says. And this kind of sets the kind of the big thing of the movie is
Hmm.
Jim is going page by page trying to look at these different manuals as he
Hmm.
is deconstructing the house based on what the manuals tell him to do, and some of the information is contradictory and some of it is
Yeah.
confusing to him, and Hilda kind of calls things out on it. And I love the way that they see things very differently because it immediately reminded me of COVID, of like, hey, you should sanitize your groceries. Oh, you probably don't have to worry about that. Well, you should
Yeah.
wear a mask. Well, maybe only with this time. Well, maybe only this time. Well, but then it was very much like you get all this
Yeah.
contradictory information
Keep
just
your
thrown at
shoes
you.
outside. Things like
Yes, keep your
that. Yeah.
yeah, and very much I could relate to this where they're reading
Absolutely.
this information and just being like, "Well, this says to do this," and then
Hmm.
Hilda's looking at it and being like, "Well, but that doesn't make any sense. We're going to take the doors off the house
Yeah.
and build a fort inside the house. Won't that just bring in the bomb into the house? Like,
Yeah.
and like, would that not help?" And he's painting windows white, and she's like, "How is that gonna help?" And he's like, "Well, I don't really know, but it
What was
says
one of
it
his?
will. So like maybe it has something to do with, in Japan, the people that had shirts on that had stripes or different colors, they got more badly burned when the bomb went
Hmm.
off. So we wear nothing but white clothing and paint the windows in white, then that'll help us."
Yeah.
And this is something that they were reading from these pamphlets and following through with and believing that this is going to help them, or at least
Hmm.
he believes it. She doesn't believe most of this at all. She's kind of
No.
calling into question all of this as he's doing
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, and I think at a certain point, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun on this
No, go
one,
ahead.
but I was gonna say there's a part where he says ours is not to question,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
he
yeah,
keeps
he keeps
referring to the
bringing that up.
powers that be,
The
and
powers that be, and ours is not to question. Yeah, it very
yes,
much sets up like this class dynamic that, well, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense. Our job is not to ask if it makes sense. Our job is
yeah,
just to follow the orders. We are the
exactly,
worker ants. We just do what the
yes,
queen says, even if it's marching to our death. And
yeah,
he has a lot of like vivid like fascinations about like, well, what if they call for all able-bodied men? And he has these like dream scenarios where he's
hmm,
thinking about, well, what he could do if he went and could serve in war. And this is where you kind of get to see a lot of like the heavy metalness of this
yes,
movie, where you can see that it has the same director. His little
oh yeah,
fascinations are very funny,
oh yeah,
and,
like
and very
the
involved.
when he does his like first, I don't know, I'm gonna call it an interlude maybe or something, where you
Hmm.
just sort of we digress, is
Yeah.
when oh, how did I forget her name already? The
Hilda.
Hilda. Why did
Yeah.
that go away? I don't know. But I'm just terrible with names. Let's just go there. But the when she is going out to get the clothes off the line, and she just kind of stops and looks at the countryside, and she picks up that little dandelion thing and blows on it, and
Hmm.
And then we just get into this like dream sequence, and it's pretty beautiful actually. Like
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
way it's like very sketch, very pencil on pencil, like drawn over itself a bunch of times, and it's
Hmm.
really cool. It's a really good look, and it really like draws. I don't know. It's very interesting visually, and then
Yeah.
get yanked out of it by him taking another door off.
Yeah, right.
so,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
very,
like
very well
those.
done.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
it's
whenever, like
amazing.
you were saying, when he's fantasizing about, you know, being able to kind of lend a hand with able-bodied men
Hmm.
and all of that, you get more of that,
Yeah, yeah.
and I like that.
And so in the plot next, what happens is Jim decides he's going to check in on Ron, his son, and
Yes,
we never hear Ron really. We never
not
meet
really.
Ron, but they talk about him, and Jim is kind of annoyed that Ron is not disaster prepping like he is,
Yeah,
that he's not following the manual. Ron seems to have, based on the phone call conversation and the tone of it, it seems like he's kind of accepted that the end is here and he's just kind of going to
yeah,
enjoy his last moments on life. And he
yeah,
doesn't really believe that the pamphlet is going to help them at all. And this is
yeah,
kind of annoys Jim a little bit, but he thinks later on he kind of, mentions again that like, oh well, Ron, he had the pamphlet and he knew that, he knew what to do, so
no,
he would have
yeah.
done it. So I think he's reassuring himself and refusing to accept the fact that his son is probably dead when the bomb dropped, which is,
Oh yes,
kind of what they do. So as night approaches, they start talking about politicians, and I love this part because they're like trying to remember who's in charge, and they kind of
yeah.
talk about how it's harder as you get older to remember who's in charge of the government anymore these days.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only that, but like it was easier back in the day to know what was good and what was bad. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like hard to tell because they don't even know who's in charge, right? He keeps
Yeah.
bringing up like all these World War II politicians, and she has to keep
Yes.
reminding him, like, honey, that was like 40 years ago. Like,
Yeah.
all those people are gone. Like, they've retired or they're dead. Like, they're not in charge anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's not the way the world works. And I like that she never says that that's not the way the world works to him, but she really implies it with the way she kind of approaches a lot of what he's saying.
Yeah.
Really, really well done. Really, really well done. So
Yeah.
I love all the contradictory information that he gets as he's trying to
Yes.
like explain like what the government wants him to do,
Yeah.
and how they're like, well, we need to stay here for 14 days, and we need to wash our dishes with sand, and we need to have this much water, but only this much water, because if we can't use too much water, because other people might need that water,
Yeah.
so we can't, like, we shouldn't go in the basement. We need to put the doors of the house at a 60-degree angle against the wall and form like a little inner wall, and you have to stay in here. And it's really, this is kind of the bulk of the movie until the bomb is dropped, is him kind of explaining all these things to Hilda as she just
Yeah.
kind of looks at him like, what, this doesn't really make a lot of sense, but she follows along with him for the most
Oh yeah.
part. Like she's kind of like, okay, like, yes honey, like, yes, we'll do this, sure,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll do that.
Oh
Very,
yeah.
very good. I really, really love it.
Oh yeah. No, it's yeah. Well, I
The
mean,
part
and it.
that, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and it really does highlight like kind of how silly this like pamphlet is, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it. I could. It very much makes sense that it was a real thing, but boy, does that suck.
Exactly right. Yeah, it's awful. It's fucking terrifying. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It seems like that is real. I love the part where he assumes that the United States and that democracy will prevail in any war, because they start like talking about, well, if there is a war, who do you think's going to win? And Jim is like, well, it's got to be the United States, and
Yeah.
democracy is going to prevail, like, because that's how it's always been. And Hilda's there to remind him once again, that was 40 years ago. Like, it's
Yeah.
been a long time. I love that in the context of 2025, what
Oh
that means, where
yeah.
it's like, ooh, yeah, I don't know if you'd feel that way now, Jim, but I don't know if we're going to come save you in case of these things, but maybe.
We're gonna have
You
to
would
have a.
hope so, but
There's gonna be a Chinese rock star that's gonna make an album called American Democracy. How's that for a reference? Work that one out.
Oh Lord have mercy. That would be that would be a fun thing to see happen,
Right.
honestly. Gosh, that's fun. So they're basically, right before the bomb is dropped, they're gathering potato sacks, because they're told
Mm-hmm.
that he reads that if they need to put themselves in paper sacks when the bomb hits, because that'll help dampen some of the radiation.
I,
And they also
yeah,
need to put a box that has all of their personal information in this little box. Basically, they need to prepare themselves a coffin, is
basically.
basically what they're doing here. They're
Hmm.
assembling a coffin for themselves. And as they assemble this coffin, the bomb is about to drop, and they get a 3-minute warning on the radio that says you have 3 minutes to prepare. And this is where Jim gets immediately frantic and starts calling her a bitch and tries
Oh
to yell at
yes,
her to get her to move. And she is not, she's like, "What did you call me?" And is very much like, "No, you haven't, you don't get like just," and he's like pushing her and shoving her. And so they're very much reacting in different ways, and he's trying to
yeah,
get them into the shelter as frantically as possible, and she's worried about the fact that she left the oven on, and
yeah.
doesn't want the cake to burn because she was in the middle of making them a nice cake. And yeah, and then this is when the bomb is dropped. And yeah, the
Yes.
movie is the bomb scene is really fucking good.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
um, I wrote down this is literally a haunting and honestly kind of beautiful sequence. Like, it's
Yes.
really, really, really well done. Maybe like the best apocalyptic thing we've seen in any of the movies we've watched.
Yeah.
Like 42 movies in. Like, there's other movies that address the post-apocalypse, and this movie does that too. We're about to see the post-apocalypse, but like
Yeah.
actually seeing the end time happen in real
Yeah.
time, and not like hearing it referenced about like in Mad Max by children who live after the fact, or
Yeah.
seeing it kind of memorialized by Vincent Price and his eternally long monologues.
Hmm.
Um, this time we get to see it visually, and it's I really enjoyed it. I thought it was
Oh
really, really
yes.
well done. Kind of immediately was like, "Ooh, wow, this is very, very good, very,
Yeah.
very well done." And we focus in on them after the bomb by finding
Hmm.
a picture frame that's hanging in the house.
Yeah.
And as the picture frame, we then get a montage set of like their past memories together as both a
Yes.
couple, and how they met and all these like things that they did. And I wrote down, this literally made me cry.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
this was really fucking well done. Holy shit. And then we end it by coming back out of the montage with the picture frame shattering and falling on the
Yeah.
ground.
Oh,
With
that
them,
was.
we see them there in their basically their homemade casket, and
Yeah.
they lived through it.
Yeah.
There's that, and they
For
both keep
better or
saying
worse.
"Blimey, blimey,"
Yeah.
very British, "Blimey," right? And immediately they're like, "Wow, we what the hell was that? Like, it was daylight earlier." And then Jim is trying to explain, well, the bomb, it does that.
Yeah.
Which is something he keeps doing. And I love that he
Yeah.
won't let her leave to go look at anything, because he says the fallout is falling out.
Oh yeah.
Love that line. That is such a good line. I love,
That is.
that's like a good writer where you can play with words, where you can be like, the
Yeah.
fallout is falling out, and be like, oh, that, yep, perfect. I'm going to
Yep.
use that.
Yep.
And he does that a lot, as he's like, well, no, you can't leave the little fort we built for 14 days. We have to stay in here for 14 days. And she's like, look, I'm not going to the bathroom in here with you. Like, I'm going to go upstairs and use the bathroom. I don't
Yeah.
care. And they keep arguing about this. And eventually they just settle. We're like, let's just go to sleep, right? Let's just go to sleep. It's been a long
Hmm.
day, right? Literally, the world just fucking ended.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, let's take a nap. Let's call it a day. And then they wake up the next day, and of course they're fucking bored, right? They're not able to leave this basically tiny little space that he's built for them.
Yeah.
And James has an option, though. He knows what to do. The pamphlet tells them what to do in case they're bored. It says they can play games, trivia, quizzes. They
Yeah.
can tell each other stories,
Well, yeah,
or
because
they
they
can
want to keep
discuss
them.
things.
They oh yeah, and the like. What did they say about discussing like about I guess their current situation or
Yeah,
something? I don't know.
discuss your current situation. Discuss the differences between before the bomb and after the bomb,
Yeah.
and what you're going to do now that you've lived through this,
Oh
basically.
Lord. Well,
Which is what
and
I'm
the
sure, you live through the
well,
Holocaust, you live through basically the nuclear Holocaust, and
yeah,
everyone's like, yeah, let's discuss it.
yeah. Let's have a little chat about it.
Let's have a little chit chat, a little
Well,
powwow.
and the way that he presents it in the pamphlet is to be stimulated or something like that. And she's like, "Yeah, I don't think
Yes.
we're going to be doing that."
Yes, I love that part. Yes.
That was
They
good.
throw there's a lot of small little humor in here too.
Yes,
It's
which is
very
good.
it's yes, yes, because this is a very dark fucking movie.
Oh
And I
yeah,
could see like watching this in a theater and kind of giggling a lot at some of the jokes because like I said,
yeah.
this very easily could become a play. I'm
Oh,
surprised it
absolutely.
hasn't been adapted more. And maybe it has been. I just didn't find more adaptations of it. Need to go
Yeah,
do a little bit more digging myself.
yeah. Because
So
I this would be really cool to watch on stage. So
yes, exactly. Yes, I love a good stage play, and this one would I think be a wonderful one to watch perform.
absolutely.
And then so he's found him a book. So don't worry, Hilda. I went to the library before all this happened and got us some books. And the book that he chose him is Armageddon and You. So he's basically just going to start to read to her from this book about how all these military programs that system basically he's giving her a list of all the things that would have prevented this from happening
uh,
and how it did none of these things work, which is kind of what
yeah,
she
no,
pulls out where she's like, and still they dropped a bomb anyway.
yeah.
And yeah, and this is where he gets one of his fantasies because he says, I'm going to sleep in my clothes in case the able-bodied men are called for. And
Hmm.
she's like, yeah, and they're going to see your pot belly and immediately no, like just surrender. And I love that. Another great joke. And this is where, like I said,
Yes.
we get one of his little fantasies. And so we kind of cut to a couple days in now. And this is where the movie kind of starts to turn itself a little bit darker because they
Oh,
both wake up not feeling very well.
yeah,
And out of nature, they immediately just get up and leave the fort and
yeah,
go start looking at the house and getting medicine. And as they're looking at the house, they're noticing all the stuff that is just destroyed. Like the
yeah.
house is completely ruined.
And
And
this is where we see things in live action.
yes, this is where it starts cutting into live action as well, where we get like them animated against them interacting against a live action background,
Hmm.
oftentimes, and it looks really, really well. It doesn't
It
end up
does.
looking poor at all. It's I can
No.
see that they spent a lot of time doing this. It's
Yeah.
very well made. And this is where we get a lot of the big theme of the second half of the movie, which is them kind of going through the motions of things that they just are used to doing. So he
Hmm.
keeps mentioning like, well, I'm going to go to the store once it's open, and she's like, well, do you think that they're going to open? And he's
Yeah.
like, well, of course, why wouldn't they? Like, we're not the only ones that probably lived through this. Everybody probably did. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to the store and I'm gonna get the stuff that we need. As she's not feeling well, so he's like, I'm gonna go get you some stuff, and they're talking about going and visiting neighbors and visiting their son,
Hmm.
and they need
Yeah.
to prepare the house and get it clean because what if people come over, right? I love that they keep mentioning that, like, well, what if people come over? I grew up with a mother who was notoriously a clean freak
Yep.
because what if people come over?
Yeah.
Nobody in my 18 years of living there ever the fuck came over, but still the house needed to always be cleaned in case someone
Yeah.
came over. Pain in my ass. So Hilda keeps cleaning up. Sorry, I took a drink of my Diet Coke there.
Oh yeah.
Summit Diet Cola from Aldi's, if you're wondering. Thanks for the
Nice.
sponsorship, Aldi's. I don't know if you're a good company. I shouldn't probably say thank you.
Yeah. Right.
Do some research on them. I don't know. They have cheap shit.
Hey. Yeah.
So I love how they go around just noticing that like everything is different and like none of the power works and the all the water's out and the television and the radio are out and the lines are all down and he's just like, oh well, he's rationalizing every single thing. Well,
Yeah.
it must be because of this, it must be
Yeah.
because of this. I love that he just keeps rationalizing and rationalizing, and
Hmm.
it's just really, really fun. And I love all the little tiny things that they try to do, all the tiny references to their past life and like how they
Yeah.
did things. All of this amazingly well done. It's great character development,
Hmm.
especially because at the end of it we find out that Hilda is still not feeling well, and not only is she not feeling well, James is also not super feeling very well
No.
anymore
Yeah.
either.
Because she's already. I think she's already throwing up and stuff, and
Yes, yeah,
he's
yeah.
got a
She's already thrown up a
massive
couple
headache.
times, and they're not hungry at all.
Yeah.
Like neither one of them is hungry at all. They keep making food because they know they're supposed to, but neither
Hmm.
one of them really ever eats a whole lot. They take a couple bites and they're like, okay. And then
Yeah.
she'll say like, I'm turned off to food, and he's like, oh, actually, me too.
Yeah.
Really, 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 really good. Like
Yeah.
just so fucking good. This is just which is really, really good.
Yeah.
God. So this is also where James realizes that they've left the shelter at
Yeah,
this
that's right.
point. He's like, oh shit, we weren't supposed to leave. And so then he runs them back into the shelter. And then the next day wakes her up and says, actually, I realized in another pamphlet, it says it's only supposed to be 48 hours in here, not 14 days. So we can leave,
Mhm.
justifying the fact that they already left, right?
Yeah.
And he tells her, let's go for a walk around the garden because she still is not feeling very well.
Mhm.
And so this is when they go for a walk around the garden, and we get another one of those really like haunting montages where we just see
Yes.
like what's become of the world as everything is
Mhm.
destroyed. And the only real noise you hear is a dog in the background,
Yeah.
presumably dying and shrieking and howling to death. Don't ever
Yes.
see the dog, but you can hear it, and it's kind of like a haunting,
Oh, it
kind
is.
of like a really haunting thing, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so Hilda is still sick, and James is trying to rationalize as he's also now beginning to fantasize himself as like being called on for heroic times of war.
Mhm.
And this is kind of where he begins to ignore a lot of what's going on to the point where later on she's like kind of almost dying around him, and he's not even noticing what's going on
Yeah.
as he's daydreaming. It's interesting because at the beginning he wanted to face it head on and be
Right.
like, let's talk about this. And then at the end of it, he is fantasizing about being elsewhere, which is kind of an interesting switch. This is a character that he goes
Yeah.
through. I really liked how he did that. I thought that was really, really well done. And I love that they keep forgetting who the enemy is. That they say, like, at one point he'll be like, "Oh, it's the Germans," and she'll be like, "No, it's the Russians."
Yeah.
And then at some point he said it's the Americans, which I liked too.
Yeah.
That they can't figure out who the enemy is.
Yeah.
Going back to an old episode of ours, allegory. Right there, you go. Some Mad Max stuff back from the day. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and I like that they talk about the different size of bombs, and this is when he's
Mhm.
basically ignoring her as she's like kind of throwing up and vomiting and getting really sick.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
discussing the different size of bombs and how really we need to be thankful about being the powers that be being economical with their bombs because they would never bomb too big of a bomb because then
Yeah.
that would just be a waste of a bomb, right? So they only want to kill 2 million of us. That's a fair amount. They're only going to drop a bomb of this size. So, right, there's basically trying to rationalize there being other people that maybe have lived through this. Um,
Mhm.
I love that he's just trying to rationalize everything as her lips are literally bleeding. Her gums
Yeah.
are bleeding as she discovers a rat is crawling in the toilet,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Once again, more visual allegory. Lots of
Mhm.
good stuff happening here. And now they're both really, really sick. And this is where they get to the part where they discuss Ron, their son, and they're
Yes.
like, she wants to be reassured by him. I love that sometimes she goes to him for reassurance and
Mhm.
he reassures her, but he's also reassuring himself. It's
Mhm.
just really, really, really well written. Like it's
Yes.
just such
Oh, yeah.
so good because he's telling him and her, well, I gave Ron the pamphlets and we called him and he knows how to read them and so yeah, he's probably doing the exact same thing we are right now. He's probably doing just like we are, right?
Mhm.
Not knowing that they're struggling with radiation poisoning and dying
Yeah.
very, very slowly
Oh,
as she
yeah.
has spots all over her legs
Yep.
and there's just basically barely getting out of bed most days now.
Yeah,
As
and
you can kind of
they've
see the effects on them
their
as it kind of
faces
has
are all
progressed.
sunken in and
Their faces are sunking in. Yeah, they're barely eating. They're not even really even talking much. They just kind of get up and say one or two things, and then we kind of fade to black, and we get like
yeah.
the next day comes on. I love how this. I just really, really love how it kind of goes on. And then at the
Yeah.
very end of it, Hilda says, "Let's just get into the paper bags because you never know." And now, so she's kind of embracing that disaster prepping because you never
Yep.
know. Right? We might as well
Yeah.
just live in these paper bags. And this is where we get more allegories because as they both get in the bags, she says, "Now I know what it feels like to be a potato."
Yeah.
So now she feels like potatoes grow under the ground. So this kind of
Um,
getting to the end of the movie where they're about to go into their
yeah.
coffin and go into the ground because this is where they go into the little fort that he built. And I
Mhm.
think she knows she's about to die.
Yeah.
I think
Well, I
she's
mean,
very,
her
very
hair is
much aware
falling
of it.
out.
Her
She's
hair is falling out. She's got blotches all over her legs. She
yeah.
hasn't felt good in God knows how long.
Yeah.
She didn't really believe that this fort hole idea was going to work to begin with.
Mhm.
and all she wants him to do is to pray with her, but he's
Yes. Yep.
struggling because he doesn't remember how to.
No,
Which
because he even
another
says, "Pray to who?"
allegory. Yeah, he's like, pray to who? And she said, well, God. And he said, oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
how? And she's having to remind him of how to pray. I love that her body is going and his mind is going.
Yeah.
Very, very, just like I said, just fucking really good shit.
Oh, it is.
Oh God, man, it's so good. So they recite the prayer, and it's really well done.
It
I
is.
forget which part of the Bible it's from, but it's kind of
Well,
bits and parts from different chunks of it as
it's
he's
definitely
stumbling
different
his way.
because he'll do part of the
Yeah,
Lord's
he does
Prayer.
part of the Lord's
He'll,
Prayer. He does some Psalms 49, I think.
I think, yeah,
He kind of like blends different things. As I think he's kind of
yeah,
like remembering different parts of churches because he kind of just at one point stops and he's like, I can't remember anymore. And she says, that's good, honey. And then he starts again and she says, no, no, dear, no, no. And she says she really likes the part about green pastures
yeah,
as she dies, and then he dies along with her.
yeah,
And that's the end of the movie.
yeah,
And yeah, I wrote down, wow, holy shit. That was a fucking amazing movie.
yes,
I'm not even going to finish reading what I wrote because I can't read half of it. It was written in pen that is now scribble scrabbled, and I can't read my handwriting anymore. But just off the
dang,
top of my head, I thought this movie is like what a movie should be, where
yes,
it takes like all of the elements, all of the different arts. We have acting performed expertly. The writing is really well done, where you're
mm-hmm,
rewarded for paying attention to like how the writing changes and how the characters
mm-hmm,
develop. So well done. The animation is beautiful.
yes,
um the way the movie is filmed in like the cinematography of it is really well done, and how
mm-hmm,
it's framed, and how the spacing of the movie kind of gets smaller and smaller, and you can kind of see that they're building a coffin for themselves basically.
mm-hmm,
Just so good. The music is fucking well done. Like I can't
yes,
think of anything bad in this movie.
no,
This is one of those movies where immediately after watching it, I just kind of turned to my wife and said, "That might be one of my favorite fucking movies of all time." Like I don't
yeah,
really have a list. I don't really keep like a list. If you made me make a list, I would have to really, really think about it.
oh, it'd be
But
hard,
right now, this movie is baby maybe somewhere in that list, and that to
absolutely,
me is kind of impressive because I didn't expect a 80s animated British movie to to be in that
yeah,
list, but
really,
damn, this movie is fucking good.
it is.
Your
I
thoughts,
mean,
go ahead.
my thoughts. This probably is the first movie that made me feel the end of the world. You know,
Oh yeah, I cried my eyes out
absolutely,
during the montage about the relationship part. I was like,
yes.
oh my god, that's fucking.
Oh yeah,
Immediately it was like, what the she like just immediately made
yeah,
me cry.
absolutely. Like I never, I don't know, and I don't think it would have hit as hard if they didn't do it the way they did it. Like it's that turn. It's we have them, you know, kind of, I don't know, dealing with the reality of the upcoming, and then having no
Yeah,
other choice but then to just deal with it, and the way
yeah,
that they deal with it, and the way that it deals with them
yeah,
more than anything, and just, I don't know, like I've never, like there's movies, there's like these movies where they're very isolated, um the this one, I never felt more alone, and then
hmm,
this movie, like them being completely alone and just suffering all the way on their own, and I mean, and fully expecting there's, the powers to be are out there and they're going to help us. That's what they're there for. Why wouldn't they? And I don't know, this, I just never felt the end of the world more in a movie than this. It was rough.
yeah,
It was haunting. It was beautiful. It was kind of painful,
yeah. Right.
but it
Realizing that
was
the
absolutely,
government would probably be more convenient for you to make yourself a very easy to identify coffin than for them to
yes.
actually take care of you in these kind of events.
Yes. I
It's kind of
mean,
a harrowing experience
it
seen
is,
played
yeah,
out over the course of an hour. You're like,
and
wow,
it's,
yeah, no, that makes some sense, honestly.
yeah, and it's crazy to think like an entire country had to, like, they, we were able to condense that feeling of the last 40 years from the movie back to World War II, um that feeling of like understanding of like this is how they were giving us to handle this, like paper bags, doors being taken off, painting windows white, like this is what their idea was. They were just trying to placate us, I guess, and just just be like, well, I mean, make yourself feel comfortable, you're gonna die, basically. Well, they don't even tell them that. It's just like it's like how you just sort of bring a cat, bring cattle in, they don't know they're getting slaughtered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
being able to condense that and that entire feeling from an entire country, basically, like, because it was very British, so
Yeah. Yeah. Very
very
British.
much felt, yeah, it felt very like this is a window into their plight, and this is like their feelings and their, how things have been for them.
Yeah.
So it definitely didn't, it felt British, and it just felt, it just didn't feel like we could relate to it in that way, but we could understand from it, and we could, learn. And I don't know,
Yeah.
there's just so
It has
much.
a lot of British references for sure, but I think as an
Yeah.
American, you can definitely watch it and not like stumble your way through it.
Oh
I
well,
think you
no.
could easily get
Yeah.
through some of the Britishisms for British eyes only,
Yeah.
kind of a
And
thing. There is
well,
some of that,
yeah,
but it's not too bad.
but no, it's so good. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's just, it condenses the, like, the last, however much time period between the movie and World War II, and
Hmm.
like the just, I don't know. And then also
Yeah.
like the misgivings about how a government would even find their role in that situation. And it's just so good, and it just hits on so many levels, and it just makes you feel everything. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, it's one of those movies where after you watch it, you definitely need a palate cleanser. You're like, "Wow,
Oh,
okay, that was a movie.
yeah.
I got to watch some 90 Day Fiance." Like that was something else. So, thank y'all
Absolutely.
for coming along on this journey with us. This has been a fun one to talk about, and
Yeah,
a really, like I said, just a really, really strong movie.
it is.
Hard to really argue against watching this one. If you haven't watched it, you can watch it on YouTube. It's on Tubi. It's on a lot of the streaming things. Apologies
Yeah,
for that.
recommend
So
it.
seek it out. It's not a bad watch, especially if you like these kind of movies and you haven't watched this one before, because I would highly recommend it.
Yes.
Speaking of highly recommending it, we're going to go back to the old school. So we're doing more Elephants in the Room next week,
Hmm.
another big movie we haven't talked about, but I can't be bothered to pick one. So instead, we're going to go back to our roots and we're going to roll a fucking D20. So you got one on you still?
Oh, let me go grab one.
Okay. I was hoping you kept that shit on you, but apparently
It's
that's
just
just your pistol.
yeah, really. I mean,
You
all
are a
right.
Texan.
Let me open my bag here.
I hate to say that's a stereotype, but it is. It's like not every Texan I know has a cowboy hat or a gun, but every Texan I know does have, or I shouldn't say a gun. You broke my own joke. I fucked that one up. Not every Texan I know owns a horse or a cowboy hat, but every Texan I know does own a gun. So there is
I
that small little
was gonna say
caveat there.
I don't own a gun. Um,
Damn,
I know, right?
couldn't keep my numbers going.
Let me tell you, I have had people tell me I'm not a real Texan because of that. And I'm like, I don't think that's the measure, but okay, go ahead.
It's
Now we're
called a
doing a
birth
20.
certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah, roll a d20.
All right. Let's see. Oh, you might actually be able to hear this one because we've lost our
I heard a thud.
noise canceling. So let's see. I'll get this close to the mic.
Oh yeah, I heard it that time. Holy shit.
All right. I got a 7.
7. God damn it.
Oh.
Oh shit. So next week we're gonna watch the fucking Postman with Kevin Costner.
You got to spare
Well,
4 hours?
I'm gonna find it somehow. Oh gosh, that's
We'll
a
have to
hell of
break
a
this one
movie.
up.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
this
long
is a
movie.
hell of a movie.
I believe Will Patton is also in that one, so that's a fun
Yes.
time. Oh God, his other post-apocalyptic movie that wasn't
Yep.
the Water World is The Postman. So if you've never seen
Yes.
that one, whoo boy, it's gonna be an
It's
interesting week. Well,
oh
we'll see you
yes.
guys next week as we got some mail to deliver.
Take
See ya.
it easy.
Hot damn, college boy. Thank you so much for listening. Every single week we come back with a new movie about the end of the world, or a movie about the beginning of the end of the world, or what happens after the end of the world, or maybe one day we just decide to watch Showgirls. Who knows? Right? But every week we are coming back, and thank you so much for stopping in this week and listening to the whole episode and hearing our thoughts on whatever train wreck of a movie I chose to force my friend to watch this week. I'm a good person like that. And thank you for also being a good person. There you go. If you want to be a really, really fucking cool person, which you obviously are, why don't you give us a like, and actually, more importantly, give us a subscribe. I find that to be more important. I don't know if the algorithm says it is. I don't really give a shit. But thank you for your patronage either way, and clicking all the things and doing all the stuff. Bye. Thanks.